how that tissue got injured from a mechanistic standpoint. Then they hand them off to the PT that's just typically stretching or strengthening that area without really looking at that whole chain. So essentially you're looking at everything like it's connected in a kinetic chain. So you're looking at all the muscles and the joints above and below, and you're looking at the nervous system's ability to recruit and stabilize those different areas. So you have your newbie device. So you're using that as a means of one, I think, rehabbing and strengthening the muscle and the nervous system, but you're also using it as a means of detection. Can you talk about how it has dual purposes?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we talk about this neurological response to injury and trauma, there's the concept, and then there's actually the process of finding where in the body it exists and what it's doing in the body. And to understand what it is, one of my favorite metaphors is actually to talk about this notion of, imagine a snake was coming in. So I'm in my home office here. Imagine a venomous snake was coming into my office. For me to react like this and kind of run away or mobilize some energy so I can protect myself, that's useful. That's value. That's a valuable, it's a fear-based fight or flight response that mobilizes me to take action so I can, fight or defend or protect myself or run away and flee. And that's valuable. However, if I react the same way to a rubber snake that my daughter put there, that's an overreaction. That is inappropriate. I'm wasting this energy, trying to protect myself from something that's not a real threat. And our brains and nervous systems do this to us. And forgetting these examples of like pain and injury, for example, a lot of people have this experience, thinking about someone who gets really nervous before they go public speaking, for example, something like that. That's the brain's way of saying, hey, this is life-threatening. We got to protect you from this risk of being embarrassed, because if you go out there and make a fool of yourself, you could get kicked out of the tribe, for example. Or there's like these deep survival fears associated with that. I think we all recognize that, that fear is kind of a hypersensitivity, or it's an overreaction, or it's a little bit miscalibrated to the situation. Like, we recognize intellectually we're not really going to die if we go out on stage, but it feels like that because we're overreacting. And a similar type of thing happens where if we have an injury, it's football season, we're working with a lot of professional and college and high school football players. If an athlete goes out and sprains their ankle and they are totally shutting down as in response to that injury and that trauma, if they're, creating tension to lock down some muscles and totally shutting down others, that can be potentially productive. If they were going to roll that ankle again, that bracing could be protective there. But if they're not doing that, if they're trying to rehab and get back to normal movement, those patterns actually stand in the way. They delay that recovery process. They're reacting, as if they're pounding that ankle again, like there's a real snake coming in, when really it's a rubber snake and they're safe now. They just have to get themselves in the right state to where they can heal. And by shifting, by first of all identifying where, so to actually answer your question now, if we're able to take the newbie device and scan around in their body, we can find where those hypersensitivities are in the nervous system, where the brain and nervous system are shutting down muscles or creating these bracing and guarding patterns where they're holding on in other muscles. We can find where those are and then send this very unique direct current stimulation to reset and recalibrate the nervous system. And what does that really mean? Well, it means, an athlete who comes in with a sprained ankle, who's on crutches or can't put any weight on their leg, oftentimes after that first session can walk normally, can load weight on their leg without pain. And they make these amazing transformations in 15 minutes. And you think, gosh, what happened in that 15 minutes? Did the ligament that was partially torn, if it was a grade 2 and it's a partial tear of the ligament, did that ligament heal in 15 minutes? No, of course not. What happened was you reset and recalibrated that suite of neurological protective patterns, some of which are tension, some of which are inhibition or turning off muscles. And part of that is also pain. Pain is a protective, active output of the brain. That's part of that whole host of protective patterns. And by resetting that, you immediately restore function back to a more normal, healthy level. They're not ready to go back onto the football field after that session. However, they are in a state where they can move better. Their muscles can better support that injured tissue as it heals. And you've opened these floodgates so the healing mechanisms can actually work at their normal rate and do what they're capable of doing.